everybody. Hope you are doing so wonderfully well. So I'm so excited because my favorite time of the month is when we have Jeff Quincy on and joining us for our weekly Wednesday webinar. We are so excited today too, because here's the thing. Our clients have been talking to us like crazy about being able to articulate this new upcoming 2023 market so it doesn't scare their clients off, because all they're seeing is everything that's in the news, and being able to speak to it and articulate that to their clients is so important. Do me a favor, in the comments, if you will, is this a challenge that you guys have been having too? Let me know. Because we've been talking about it a lot, and I'm just curious if this is the kind of stuff that is for you. Yeah, Aaron's saying yes. Bill, you're saying absolutely yes too. Sure, we're seeing that a lot. And so when we were talking about what was the most important thing we could talk about today, it is all about that. And Jeff, of course, amazing Jeff, who knows how to talk about these things so well, says, hey, let's put this together for this week. So for all you guys, first of all, a little housekeeping. If you've been with us before, you know that sometimes it's hard for me and Jeff to be able to watch the chat. So we've got our amazing Director of Operations, Robin Keeley. Say hello, Robin.
Hi, everyone.
So happy to have Robin here. As always, she'll be watching the chat. And if there's something that you guys have a question on, she will make sure that she lets us know about that. Now, we may have some of you joining us today, and you may not know who the heck I am. So let me introduce you to myself. My name is Cole Finley, and I am the business performance and transformational coach and trainer. And I'm also the owner of Finley RE Coaching and Consulting. I have been in real estate since 2009, and I was Rookie of the Year my first year in 2009. Sold 36 transactions my first year. Crazy. I know, it was just one of those really fluky kind of things. It was great fun. I'm a former CEO and team leader for Keller Williams. I'm a neurolinguistic programming practitioner. I'm an instructional designer with over 25 years of experience as a course creator, trainer, and coach. And I am the chief architect of our Breakthrough RE Facebook group and the 12 Weeks to Breakthrough training and coaching program. And hinty hint, also the upcoming Jumpstart program for new agents. So exciting. I got to tell you, so exciting on that. So we have, like I said, an amazing guest, and we love having him. He's just such a big, huge part of our team, and it is Jeff Quincy. Now, Jeff is a mortgage loan officer with Fairway Independent Mortgage, just not like a mortgage loan officer. He's one of the top loan officers in the entire country for Fairway. So love me some Jeff Quincy. Let's talk a little bit about him. So Jeff has built a successful mortgage business over the last 19 years by taking an educative approach with his clients and referral partners. His entire mission is to show clients how they can create generational wealth through real estate and their prospective financing options. And although this approach takes more time in educating and explaining options, it has proven to create lifelong clients and establish him as a mortgage professional and not just an order taker. Jeff, come on in.
I'm coming.
Yay.
There we go.
How are you doing, my friend?
Good. How's everybody doing today?
Oh, how are you doing? Hey guys, tell us in the chat. How you doing?
Yeah.
We always love hearing from you.
And you usually do this, Cole, too, so I'm going to do it. Drop in the chat to everyone, not just the hosts and panelists, where you're from, what state you're viewing us from today. I think that'd be great.
That would be awesome. Where are you located? Washington State. Very, very nice. We always love Washington. Arizona. Bill's from Arizona. Excellent. Gilbert. Steve's from Gilbert. Fantastic.
Bill, you probably had a winter coat on today, like myself here in Arizona. Don't have to do that very often.
Amarillo, Texas, from Amelia. We love having Amelia here. By the way, Amelia, congratulations. She's one of our brand new people in our 12 Weeks Breakthrough program. Enumclaw. Wow, love it. Oh, coolest little town. Enumclaw, Washington. You guys have to go. Kitsap. Love it, Annie. Hey, Annie. Good to see you. Have you here. Love it, love it, love it. All right, Jeff. So I'm just going to hop off here.
All right.
So
you guys can see my screen, Cole?
Yeah, can absolutely see your screen. I'm gonna hop off and just take it away.
Perfect. Thanks, Cole, for that
Before you start,
introduction.
Jeff,
I'm sorry, Robin?
before you start, I've added the document to help you
Okay.
follow along today. You will need to download that and then open it if you would like to take notes.
Perfect. Thanks, Robin. And also, Cole and Robin will put a replay up tomorrow of this. So we created that document just as we go through, not necessarily having you jot down everything that's going to be on my slides, but maybe what comes to you and what is going to work for you in your business and in your market, just as a memory jogger to look back at. So excited to be here today, going into 2023. I don't know about you guys, but we're crazy busy. Everything that they said over the last 6 months is coming true. We actually did more mortgage applications in the first 6 days of December than we did in all of November. Hoping that you guys are experiencing that in your markets as well. If not, trust me, I believe that wave is coming. So going to go over a lot of information today. I'm going to nerd out on a lot of data. If you guys attended either the Dave Stevens webinar that we did or the Barry Habib, you're going to see some of the data we went over. It will be a refresher for you. However, my goal today is those guys come at us at a very high 30,000 foot overview. My goal today is maybe bring that down to our level on both the mortgage and real estate side to help us with those conversations with clients, kind of navigate that. I have some examples at the end that I'll walk through on 3 main topics that I know you're hearing from clients because I'm hearing the same thing. So bear with me over the first probably 15 to 20 minutes because it's going to be a lot of charts, graphs, and numbers. Don't want to go through it too fast, but if you have a question, pop that in the chat, and Robin or Cole, feel free to stop me at any time, and I can bring some clarification. So, and then I have some bonus content, right? We said it's the 5 steps to talking about the 2023 market like a pro, but we got some bonus stuff that I added in bright and early this morning that I hope you guys find helpful in your business as we enter 2023. So let's get started. So the 5 steps, we want to study the market. What do I mean by that? We want to look at some historical data in the entire market as a nation. And then we want to apply that. How does that apply to your market? And then we're going to talk about some client facing things, right? And really bullet point 3, 4, and 5 here, I believe goes into one. And I think on the mortgage side and the real estate side, sometimes we forget we're actually in sales, right? And in every conversation, it's been said that somebody's being sold. And I don't necessarily like to say that because I don't think I'm a salesy guy, right? I hate when I hear people talking like they're a used car salesman. No offense if that maybe was a previous industry of yours. However, 3 main parts of all sales is listening to understand, acknowledging their perspective or their thought process because there's a reason why they're thinking that way, and then communicate with facts. We're going to dive into each one of those. And as I mentioned, we got some bonus content at the end that I think will help you with your business. So first off, studying the market. We want to look at some historical data. Now, if you are into watching the news, they will mislead you every day in every news article saying, here's some historical data, and they'll go back 6 months or a year or 2 years. And sometimes the data doesn't give us the full picture if we don't go back further. So you're going to see some of the information that I provide on the entire nation's data is going to be based on sometimes as much as 35 years. And I think that's important and is going to help us communicate that to clients and overcome their fears and concerns. Some of the things we're going to look at today is inflation, interest rates, right? That's always a big topic. Household formations. What is that? What does that even mean? And then existing inventory. Okay, all things that we know affect us in our markets, but that's why step 2 is going to go into your market specifically. And I'm going to give you kind of some homework on some data that you're going to want to dig up if you don't already have to prepare you to speak about your market in general. So let's dive into this. Graph number 1, inflation. Anybody know, and feel free to type in the chat, anybody know what happened with interest rates yesterday? Right, we knew this was going to happen for a week or 2. The inflation number was released yesterday and rates improved. Matter of fact, we'll show you in a second here what the bond market does, which impacts interest rates. Now, what's kind of crazy and what we have to understand as we go through this is inflation was up 0.2%. If we look over here on the far right-hand side, okay, came in 0.2% higher. Well, Jeff, how did inflation improve rates? We first have to understand that inflation is always a 12-month look back. So as soon as a November inflation number hits, November of last year fell off. So if you read the news article, inflation down 0.3%. Why? Because it was only up 0.2. We got rid of the 0.5 over here from November of 2021. We've been seeing that happen. In October, it was up only 0.3, and we got rid of October at 0.6. We improved. So as we move forward, we're going to see, and this is what a lot of the experts are talking about. A lot of my data is from Barry Habib today. You'll see his picture because I did some screen shares on his last event. You'll see a picture of him or maybe his name. That's my goofy way of giving him credit for a lot of this data. Every month that goes on, if you see, we are going to be getting rid of next month the 0.5% increase to inflation from November of last year, and then 0.6. That's why all experts are leading towards rates will come down as we get rid of those bad months. The other thing to note on here, look at what happened in April, May, and June, right? Inflation continues at this, 0.2 to 0.3%. As these fall off next May, June, July, we're expected to see that inflation number come down further, which is going to help interest rates. And I'll get into how this ties into interest rates in a second. One thing to note here, if you've ever had a conversation with me about the market, what's happening, you'll hear some frustration that the Feds didn't act until January. There's even, some news outlets that will go that far that we acted too much too late. Well, this graph only goes back to June of 2021, but look at where inflation was in June of last year. This right here is the proof on everybody arguing that the Fed should have been acting last year. But we're not here to debate what the Fed should or shouldn't have done. Just know that this is why we saw such a steep increase in interest rates, because the Feds had to jump in and act very aggressively. And the funny thing is, in 15 minutes, Chairman Powell is going to go on and do his press conference. So as soon as I'm off this, I'm going to go listen to the replay of that so I can do my rate update for today. He keeps saying every meeting, I guarantee it comes out of his mouth today, guys, if we don't do anything, it's going to get really bad. Well, for those who understand what's going on, I sit there and laugh and say, yeah, that's what we were saying last year, is if you don't do anything, it's going to get worse. So that's just a little inside, commentary from me and what I believe the Fed should have done. Now, how does inflation affect interest rates? As inflation gets out of control, the only option they have is to raise those interest rates. And Chairman Powell's exact words is we have to inflict pain on our spending habits as consumers in our country to stop or slow spending so the inflation will come back down to their target rate of 2%. Okay. What is happening right now, whether it's equity in our houses or we have more income, we're going to talk about both of those later on in this presentation. We have more disposable income as Americans than we've ever had, right? Supply and demand. More people are doing home remodels, additions, doing their landscaping. As that supply has gone down because demand is up, these contractors can charge double or triple. How do we fix that? Quit demanding their services, right? If an AC guy can fit in 3 ACs a day and he's got demand for 10 a day, he's going to increase his price and take the 3 that will pay the highest price, right? Supply and demand. So that's what's driving inflation. I've been arguing this entire year that we actually could fix inflation without the need for the Feds to jump in if we as consumers stop spending as much money as we are, right? Bring that demand down. But we didn't do that. We're Americans, we're consumers, and we consume really well. So that's how inflation ties to interest rates. Now, before I move on to the next slide, I want to notate one thing. The Fed's goal is to get inflation down to 2%. See this 0.2% increase that was just announced? Take that times 12. That's 2.4% inflation. We're headed in the right track if we can just keep this going. Part of that's going to be the supply in some of these industries catching up as well. So let's go into 30-year mortgage rates and how they're related to the 10-year Treasury. And you see Barry Habib up in the top. This is where I got the information from. He runs MBS Highway. And this is showing you historically 35 years, the spread between the 30-year mortgage rate and the 10-year treasury. All these red lines is a normal spread. And when you see BP, BIPs in our business, you'll hear people use BIPs. I try not to use industry jargon. Correlate that to interest or to a percentage. So 1.75 to 2% above the 10-year treasury is what historically for 35 years we've always done. All of a sudden, that spread has jumped to 3%. And this is dated about a month out. But back when he did this in November, interest rates, 30-year interest rates were at 7%. The 10-year treasury was at 4%. Okay. So Barry being an expert, Dave Stevens said the same thing. This has to get back down to normal. And if you do that right now, you'll see on a future slide here that the 10-year treasury as of yesterday was at 3.499, 3.5. If we get that back to a 2% spread, we would be down to interest rates of 5.5. And that's where all the mortgage experts expect rates to go sometime in 2023, is into that 5 to 5.5% range, 100% based on historical data. Yeah. If you were on Dave Stevens' webinar, if you're on Barry Habib, like, Jeff, why are you regurgitating all this? It's very important for us to have this data at our disposal to be able to talk factually with our clients. And I have a slide on this. If we meet them with our opinion against their unsubstantiated opinion, it's going to end in argument. The client's going to leave us. They're not going to trust us. Right. So we got to meet them where they're at in their house buying or house selling decision point with factual data. So this is what Barry gives us all day long. This is the ticker. You can't find this anywhere. On the left-hand side is your mortgage-backed security ticker. Yesterday, up 55 points when I took this screenshot. This works inversely with interest rates. As the bond market goes up, rates come down. So you saw that 55 basis point increase yesterday resulted in rates improving by about 0.25%. It's usually 25 to 30 basis points will get an 1/8% change in interest rates. Then side by side, I got the 10-year treasury here at 3.499. Okay, interest rates today hovering right around 6.5. We're still at that 3% spread that I just showed you on the last slide. That will improve as time goes on and the markets start getting back into balance. So this is something we have access to. We pay a few $1,000s a year to have access. You can go Google right now, mortgage-backed security, 30-year ticker on the 5.5% coupon. That's what the 5.5% means right there. And you will not find that anywhere. You might find a historical reading from a day or two ago, but you won't find the actual ticker like you would with the stock market. Okay, so then we're going to jump into household formations. Okay. What is a household formation? Type in the chat what you think that is. And this goes back all the way to 2002. So household formation, think of your child who's living with you. The day they move out of your house, does not matter if they're buying a house, renting an apartment, going to college. The second that they move out of your house, they have formed a new household in our country. Okay. This is compared side by side, so household growth, formations, along with annual completions. Look what happened. If you're talking to anybody thinking that they're still waiting for a 2008 to happen again, first of all, I don't wish that on any country, definitely not the one I live in. Okay, I always make a joke about that when clients bring that up, or they want rates at 3%. I say, look at when rates were at 3%. What was going on in our country? People were worried about losing their jobs. They're worried about dying from a pandemic. I don't want to see 3%. I want a healthy rate because that means everything around me is good. So leading up to 2008, look what happened. We had less household formations. There's a lot of layoffs leading up to that. Kids weren't leaving the house. They couldn't find jobs. So we had a lack of household formations compared to the previous years. And our builders leading up to that period were building at the highest rate they've ever built. Now, I'll pause for a second, and you're going to ask Jeff, when we talk about household formations, these kids leaving the house, they need somewhere to live. Why are we only talking about completions, meaning new builds? There's a reason for that. If somebody went and bought a resale, what'd they do? They just displaced that family. That family needs another house. That didn't create new inventory for the new household. So that's why they compare this side by side with new builds being completed. So if we all remember, and I know a couple of people mentioned they're here in Arizona, there was overnight subdivisions that were at curb and gutter. Builders pulled out, they either went bankrupt and said, we're done. And that sat that way for 10 years. They were building faster than what the demand was requiring them to build. What did that create? Builders got really scared. We're not going to repeat that. We're not going to go bankrupt again. We're not going to overbuild. So you see all the new build count goes way down. Then look what peaks up here. What happened during these 8, 9, 10 years? Income started going up. Kids started leaving the house again. They're getting good paying jobs. And household formations outpaced new builds. Get up to 2022, nothing's changed. Household formations almost the same. And our new builds are up, but nowhere close to taking care of the new households that have been formed. That's why you see apartment complexes going up left and right. This data right here, this is a talking point. Well, Jeff, I'm talking to people who are renting. They want to keep renting versus buying. How does this pertain to them? What's happening to their rent cost right now? Going through the roof. With this one graph, can you now talk to that renter as the expert on why they're seeing their rent increase and why buying a house? I'll show you some additional slides that can go with that. Why buying a house is a better scenario for them to fix their payment, right? Not have rents going up, especially if you're in Arizona with no rent control, right? We're going to continue to see that increase and build wealth. Two important things that we should be having with every conversation with a potential buyer. So now let's look at existing home inventory in the last 23 years. Look at 07. How much inventory did we have? I mean, if we just go back one slide to 2007, look where new household formation. I wouldn't characterize this as demand, but it's part of demand. Way down, the lowest it had ever been in this 20-year span, right here in 07. And we jump forward and we have a ton of inventory. Some of that was caused by foreclosures, but 4 million homes in inventory compared to right now 1.25 million. And it can't withstand the demand that's coming. Even now, with a little bit of a softer market, and we're seeing inventory in most markets has increased significantly. We're still well under. I'm going to show you some headlines talk about that. Here's what the news will do. The news is going to give you this 3-year snapshot and say, oh, wow. Or they might go down to 2007 and say, look how far down our inventory is. But they don't give any data to go with it. Right? That household formations are up. So that these statistics given in the wrong context would leave the typical buyer who's never bought a house before to say, oh, this is a bad time to buy, right? We all know media sells fear. And that's what they're absolutely doing. Our job now, we have an uphill battle on both the mortgage and real estate side. We got to jump in and undo what the media has done and help people build some confidence and show them factual data versus our opinion. I mean, I can sit here, you can sit there all day long and say, you're going to build wealth, you're going to make money. Any period other than 08, you're going to make money owning a real estate, right? You can say all this, but you don't have facts to back it up. You're just the next salesman on the corner, is what we're being viewed as by the general public. Here's some data. So top left, America is short more than 5 million homes and builders can't make up the difference, right? Inventory does, we can't fix inventory with people selling their houses. It helps, but now they have some place they have to go, right? New construction is going to fix it. This one was from CNBC. Top right, there's never been such a severe shortage of homes in the US. Here's why. And they go into supply and demand. That was from NPR. The middle one, America's short of over 5 million homes amid surge in demand and lack of construction. That one was from, I think, Entrepreneur. You guys, if you just Google inventory shortage 5 million, these were the first 3 headlines I pulled. There was pages of them, right? Some of these dated back to late 2021. One of them was from the middle of this year. I don't know if you guys had any experience in the last 12 months with new builds, but we think we're out of this COVID thing and supply is fixing itself. We just closed a new build 2 months ago. It was delayed 30 days. Client got the builder to pay a $1,200 lock extension because the stone on the front pillars were sitting on a boat on the coast of California. They had no idea when they'd even arrive and be landed in Arizona, let alone have a crew to put them on. That's still happening, right? It's getting better. We had another one where they couldn't get the shower enclosure, and it is national builder. They refused to take a shower out of a spec home, one of their models, which they could have easily done and then swapped it back out when a new one came in. You're hearing that with appliances. I'm hearing less of that, but I know beginning of the year, appliances were delayed. So we're 5 million nationwide, 5 million new homes short of what the demand is requesting. I think this is data clients need to know, and we need to help them understand it. We can't just throw it at them. We have to take the time. And that's hard when we're in sales. You know, Cole mentions it when she introduces me. It's right there. What I do as a loan officer takes me more time than the average loan officer. They want to turn and burn, take an application, sell rate, sell down payment, move on. Well, I'm not going to help my clients create generational wealth if I don't slow down, take an extra 30, 60 minutes with them. And I think that's where we're at right now. I'm going to get into that a little bit more when we talk about the millennial generation and how we have to approach them. So step 2, we got to apply this to your market, right? I don't have data on your individual market. These are things that if you don't have this at your fingertips right now, I would start, goal by the end of the year is have this data and update it frequently. Reach out to a title company. I'm going to show you on the next slide an example of a title company I work with, and they give this to me every month. You know, what's your total inventory? How many months of inventory do you have? Do you know how many months of inventory in your market is a buyer's market or a seller's market, right? One way we can determine that is net migration. Arizona, we have 243 people a day moving here, 89,000 people a year. Okay, and you're going to see on this next slide, based on our inventory currently, just the people migrating to Arizona, if you assume 50% of them buy homes, because some of them will come out here and rent, if 50% of them buy homes, 4 months of 12 annual sales process, 4 months of that inventory is already eaten up by 50% of the people who migrate to Arizona. Like that's important data to know, right? Average days on market as well as average sales price. Do you know what that is in your market, where you're farming, where you're meeting your clients? Are you able to give this right off the top of your head? Like, here's what's going on. Listing success rate and sold to list price. That's probably, I should have bolded this, right? You're going to see what's happening here in the Phoenix market on the next slide. I think it's 40% listing success compared to last year, same time, 88%. I guarantee you, based on what's been happening across the country, your numbers are going to be pretty darn close to that. If you're meeting with a seller, is it important for them to have that right expectation, right? Sold to list ratio. We were over 100% list price to contract and sold price last year and over the last 2 years during COVID. Now we're slightly below that in Phoenix. Any major developments planned, right? Are you keeping a pulse on your market? And when I say developments, I'm not talking about the master plan community that's going to have 25,000 homes and it's going to take them 10 years to complete. We have one of those here in Arizona called Eastmark. You know, I think they're pretty much sold out now. That started about 10 years ago. But also, what industries are moving in, right? I got wind 4 years ago that they're building 3 hospitals in the Northwest Valley of Phoenix, right? There's some marketing opportunity. There's going to be some medical professionals that need to come in and work those jobs. How do I get in front of them and help them with their mortgages? So doing some research, like setting some time aside, time blocking to know your market and what's coming in. Let's look at that Phoenix market that I shared with you. So this is new inventory, number of closings. I love number of closings. I go into real estate meetings with teams or offices, and people are, you know, down. The market is horrible right now. All these things we hear, and I laugh. I leave this slide up. I say 4,512 closings. How many opportunities did you have? Every agent responds with 4,512, and I only needed 3 of them to hit my goal. How did I not do that? And I said, well, first of all, you actually had 9,026 opportunities because there was a buyer and a seller on every one of those transactions in most cases, right? Average sales price, Phoenix market a year ago, 511 up to 537. Now let's not ignore the fact that we've gone down 6,000 month over month, right? Sold to list price ratio. We were over 100% last year at this time. Now we're at 97%. What's that tell you? Buyers want to know this. Sellers are giving concessions, right? They're taking money off the list price, or they're getting list and giving concessions. Listing success rate, I was pretty close, 38.4 compared to 88.1 last year. Months of supply of inventory, 4 months. When an agent in Phoenix asked me, Jeff, when do you think this was, 2 years ago during COVID, when do you think things are going to change? I said, oh, you have access to the listings, number of listings. You know what, how many listings we need for 1 month supply. You start seeing that move from 0.71 up to 1, then 2, then 3, you know the shift is happening. Even if nobody's talking about it, you'll, as an agent, you have access to the data to know this before they start talking about it. Average days on the market, big one. Every listing appointment is going to want to know this for your area. Do you want to go in and say, and even if you can give this promise, I'll sell your house in 3 days, whatever that is it probably wise to give them what the average is in their neighborhood, in their county, in the state? Yeah, set the right expectation. It's going to help you get the listing and then keep it, right, with the right expectations. So this is something my marketing, my title gal sends out every month on this market here in Phoenix. I guarantee if you don't have access to this data, a title rep in your area could put this together for you pretty easily. I'm going to take a breather for 1 second. Put in the chat if you guys have any questions up to this point. I see Linda says we have builders refusing custom builds because of shortages and the ramifications. Yeah. So builders 2 years ago would tell you, go pound sand if you don't close, even if it's our fault. We have somebody behind you that will pay another 50 grand. Now they're giving away the farm and they don't want it. We've had 2 new builds just in the last 3 months that paid for the buyer's rate lock extension because it was their fault. And it's right in their contract that they will not do that. So yes, Bill, we will have copies of this going out to you for sure. All right, moving along. So step 3, this is where, I love collaborating with Cole and her team because as she mentions, she's a neuro-linguistic practitioner. How we talk to people is important. And this is a big part of my business. Oftentimes I will measure, right? It's hard in our business. How am I doing? Other than looking at numbers and then comparing it to somebody else, you can always find somebody else that has better numbers, but really just one transaction at a time. How am I doing? And a lot of times what will happen is I'll get referred a client who's bought and sold 5, 6 homes. And within the first 10, 15 minutes of the conversation, or maybe as we're wrapping up, they say, Jeff, I bought and sold 5, 6 homes. Nobody's ever taken the time to do this. That's my validation. That's when I know I've done my job right. The other day, I was on the phone. It was a very short amount of time. And the client stopped me and said, Jeff, I just have to tell you, you've given me more information in the first 5 minutes. And I thought he was being facetious than I've gotten from the other 3 lenders I was referred to. And I looked down at my phone and sure enough, we had just hit the 5-minute mark. That's how I validate if I'm doing a good job and helping change people's lives, right? My value proposition is helping clients create generational wealth, and that takes education. Part of that is how I communicate, right? So as my mom always says, there's a reason why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. I grew up playing sports and I thought I knew it all. So I was always talking to the coach, probably talking back more than talking to. And she would always remind me of that, right? Big for me, listen to understand, not respond. And apply that one nugget to your entire life, not just business, and watch how things around you change. So often we're in conversations where we're just waiting for somebody to stop talking so that we can say the thing that's been on the tip of our tongue for 3 minutes, which means there was no way we could actively listen to them, right? So we got to listen, actively listen to them to understand their point of view, respond with questions, right? We want to ask, not tell. So some of those questions are, and we should have this ahead of time. What is the client's real why? I talk with agents about this all the time. What's this client's why, right? I get done with the mortgage process. I call back the agent and I say, well, what's your understanding of this client's why? Well, they're having a baby, so they need to get out of the 1-bedroom apartment into a 2-bedroom. So what's the why? The 1-bedroom will work. I know many people, married couples with 1 kid that live in a 1-bedroom apartment. I'm not saying it's ideal, but many people do it. See, what happens as soon as things get tough and maybe the rates go up a little bit or their purchase price has to come down a little bit and they start feeling squeezed, they're just going to call you and say, you know what, I don't want to buy a house anymore. And you're going to say, well, why not? You have a baby on the way. And they're going to be like, yeah, we found a way to make it work with 1 bedroom. You need to go deeper. Why is it important for that child to have its own room? What do they envision, right? We need 3rd, 4th, 5th level why. That's going to help us with all of our conversations moving forward. When they do bring up a concern, what's the true concern, right? When people say, I'm waiting for the market to crash, are they really waiting for the market to crash? No, they want what's perceived that comes with that. Lower price, lower payment. So what's your true concern? What do you mean by that would be a great question. Clarify for me so I can understand you. What are you hoping to accomplish, right? Take this one and use it because I guarantee you guys are hearing this. On the mortgage side, it's the #1 thing we hear. I'm waiting for rates to come down. And here's the question. Write this one down, put it in your phone, use it. What rate are you waiting for? That's simple. Do you know that a client, a buyer, will tell you they're waiting for rates to come down? And when you ask that question, they have no idea what rate they're waiting for. Most people, I don't know. I just want them to come down. Okay, well, we need something measurable. Because if you're waiting for them to come down to 5.5, and I know that equates to $225 a month in a lower mortgage payment, how about if I could show you a way to save $225 or more now when we have some negotiating power? What can they say, right? Now I'm talking factual, not opinion, and I'm accomplishing what they're concerned about. So don't be afraid to ask these questions. I work with an agent, a little rough around the corners, but he's very successful. And he told me one day a couple of years ago, he said, you know what, Jeff, the problem is that America in general surrounds themselves with people who will tell them what they want to hear and nobody will shoot them straight. And I just made a decision. I woke up one day, I made a decision. I'm going to tell everybody what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. They can use their friends and family for that, but I'm going to shoot them straight. And ever since he's done that, his business has exploded. Now, do it tactfully, but for him, his business has exploded because these people might be caught off guard and he asked permission to give feedback. They might be caught off guard initially, but they end up respecting him that, hey, I needed to hear that, especially when they get in their house and a year later they're calling saying, hey, I'm up $100,000 in equity. I'm glad I listened to you. So posturing is something I talk about a lot. Posture is important. Step 4, acknowledge their perspective. Ooh, so important right now, right? I agree. I understand. Don't say I agree if you don't agree with them, but don't refute it with opinion immediately. You're not doing yourself any favors. I understand your position, right? Is it okay to understand somebody's position and not agree with it? Absolutely, right? You don't know the background in most scenarios of where these people are coming from. Did they own a house and lose it during the 2008 crash? Did they watch their parents lose everything through 2008? I'm not trying to be over dramatic here, but for some people, these are emotional times and they're scared. They're scared they're going to make a decision that repeats the history. That's where that historical data comes into place to say, hey, we can't predict the future, but we can look at the past and see what's happening. And maybe I can give you some facts that will at least minimize your concern and your fear, right? Millennials, average age of millennials right now, 26 to 41 years old. Did you know it's the largest classification or demographic of people in our country? Outpacing baby boomers. Here's what's crazy about it. Median age of first-time home buyers in our country right now, 33 years old. Ironically, where does 33 land between 26 and 41? In the middle. We have 7 more years of millennials hitting that average 33-year age. This is why people who study the market say the next 5 to 7 years is going to be really good. Told you I was going to talk about millennials. Here's the downside of this data, right? There's going to be a ton of them buying houses. The internet is more prevalent now and social media than it's ever been. They know way more than we do. And keep in mind, I'm just outside of that age bracket. Because of their access to information, they no longer need us because they're the expert. Right before I jumped on this webinar, I had a guy call me about a fourplex using an FHA loan and then said, that won't work. I'll go conventional. I said, perfect. You need to up your down payment to 25%. No, I don't. I kind of chuckled. I'm like, all right, now you're a licensed loan officer. Didn't say that. And he goes, Jeff, I bought my house with a conventional loan. I put 5% down. I know the minimum's 5. I'm like, well, actually, the minimum's 3% if you can get approved. I said, but you're buying a 4-unit property that requires 25% down. Oh, that's what changes it, right? I didn't need to meet him with aggression. I kind of chuckled internally to myself that, hey, he knows more than me. He's misinformed, right? But that's a past experience that popped up and said, no, Jeff, you're wrong. Well, here, let me send you the Fannie Mae guidelines that say 25% down, right? Millennials have access to more information than they ever have. It's not them trying to be rude, but they think they know more than us because they're reading about this. 20, 30, 40 years ago, we and our parents didn't do that. We went to a professional and we trusted them. We put our trust in them, right? 2008 created this need. These kids at the time, 15 to 25 years old, saw things happening to their family and said, I'm going to be smarter than that. I'm not going to let that happen to me. I'm going to read up and know everything so I don't get taken advantage of, right? Unfortunately, 2008 didn't really matter who you were, right? Millionaires went bankrupt. So one thing to keep in mind, I had a guy call me, referral from my life insurance agent. And he was probably 30 to 35, never took an application on him. And he emailed me back after our conversation. And this is back when rates were just over 7%. He said, Jeff, I think we need to hold off or do an ARM because I don't think it's a wise time to buy. Rates are the highest they've ever been. And I said, average rates historically 6 to 8%. We're right in that. Definitely not the highest we've ever been. 5 minutes later, I get an email back. Jeff, I just researched it. You're absolutely right. I didn't even realize mortgage rates were in the teens in the 80s. And you're right, 6 to 8% has been the average prior to this low rate environment since 2009, 10. Right? I would do a disservice to myself and that client if I would have responded and been like, oh my gosh, you don't know what you're talking about. Right? Instead, I just led him to the data that answered that question. How many millennials are we working with right now that simply in their adult life have not seen rates higher than this? So they think this is a high rate environment versus a normal rate environment. I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years. 12 of it was with good rates. So it's even easy for me to have gotten so used to it that I think 4% is normal. No, 6 to 8 is a healthy interest rate in our industry. So pay attention to who you're talking to. You're going to be talking to more of those people the longer you're in real estate. And we got to communicate with facts. Everything we started this presentation with, all that data that's going to be specific to your area, but also general for the entire country that we can meet them with, right? Avoid inserting opinion. We just get in arguments. We push them away. Even if they do decide to wait, that's their choice. But if they wait, they're probably not going to call you back because you just butted heads with them. If we're going off of opinion, there's no way to prove you're right, they're wrong, and vice versa. Facts, you can say, here it is. Now it's up to them what they do with it, right? Hard to refute those facts, but it's up to them what they do with that. Hopefully what that does is set you up as an expert. If you've ever listened to any of my webinars, I talk big about this. I kind of went on a rant back in February or March. I did an in-person event with a bunch of agents. And it was just circling like that 24 hours before I had heard the word expert come up like 10 times. And it was just under my skin. Let's quit telling people we're experts and let's show them we're experts and let them make the definition that, hey, he's the expert, right? We walk in and say, for the ones in Arizona here, I'm working in an office in Ahwatukee. I walk into a listing appointment as an agent and say, thanks for having me. Just wanted to let you know I'm the expert in the Ahwatukee foothills. How do I measure that? The agent or the client's just taking your word for it. Instead, sit down and show what you've done in that market. Let them determine, I need to work with Bill, Sally, Jane, because they're the expert here. Way more impactful. So let's go over some examples of things I know you guys are hearing because we're hearing it on our side. I'm waiting for the market to crash. I won't go into the story, but my brother-in-law told me this 2 years ago. I did kind of laugh at him because he was family. And he ended up buying the house he was renting. Within a year, he was up 125,000 in equity, currently up about 250,000 in 2.5 years, but was adamant he's going to wait for the market to crash until I presented some facts, right? So many buyers are saying that would be my response, be like, yeah, you and everybody else, right? Now I'm not, because I own a house. I don't want the market to crash. But what would that market crash accomplish for you? That's just a general response. No different than walking into an apartment store. Hey, how may I help you? What are you looking for? Oh, nothing, just looking around. It's the same thing. It's just a conditioned response. I'm waiting for the market to crash. They might be waiting to save up money. They might be waiting to fix their credit, but they're going to use, I'm waiting for the market to crash. Well, what would that accomplish for you? They're going to tell you lower payment, higher purchase price approvability. And then you go into it, you can show them the data on the inventory, the demand. And oh, by the way, in Phoenix, at least what I'm telling every client is absolutely, you can wait till June or July. We'll be here. We'll do your loan then. However, you're going to be competing, which means prices are going to go up because rates are down. Well, and that's another one. I want to wait for rates to come down. Allows a higher price point or a lower payment. Okay, perfect. Rates come down. Everybody and their dog, along with you, jump off the fence, go buy houses. And the 20,000 houses in the Phoenix market will be back down to that 0.7 month supply of demand, supply on the market. And literally prices are going to jump up 10, 15, 20%. If you're looking at a $400,000 house and prices jump 10%, 40 grand equals, even at 5.5%, $200 a month. $200 a month in price. You bring that down another 50, 60, you just hurt yourself. You didn't help yourself, but I have to provide facts for them to see that, right? Versus me just trying to make a sale and coming across as a salesman, right? So yeah, my response to that would be like, everybody wants the lowest rate. What rate are you hoping for? We talked about this. They won't even know what to say. Well, I want 3. That is when I'll laugh. And I say, no, we don't want that. Probably never see it again in our lifetime. And if we do, we're going to be looking over our shoulder, wondering if we have a job to still pay our bills. Right? So a question as an agent, what if I could connect you with a lender to show you how you can get that rate you're waiting for right now while demand is low and sellers are motivated and giving concessions, right? That's all you're doing is just asking a question to get them to say, yeah, I'm willing to look into that a little further. Another one, I don't hear this as much, I would say in the second half of this year, but I'm waiting for the wave of foreclosures. Another thing that you got to be careful what people are listening to on media and social media. Foreclosures have doubled. Okay, so in my zip code, they went from 2 foreclosures a month to 4. Doubled sounds really scary, but foreclosures, there's a moratorium on it. You couldn't do them, right? So there were none. So you can say that they went up 10 times and it's still not going to be a huge number, right? Average homeowner right now in Arizona, and not in Arizona, in the nation, 2022 has 58% equity. Who's foreclosing on that? I argued with somebody on Facebook a few months ago that nobody's foreclosing, and he brought up a valid point. There's some misinformed, not well-informed homeowners that will foreclose because they don't know that they could have sold, maybe at a discount, but still walked away with a good amount of money. Compare that to 2008, right? We're not going to go into the 2008 crash, but 2008, there's only 19% equity, right? Why? Because we were giving out 80-20 loans, 100% financing to people with a 560 credit score that had no proof of being able to make payments on time. So they walked in with no equity. All their house value had to do is go down a little bit, lose their job. They can't afford it. They're going to foreclose. Right now, people have to have skin in the game. Yeah, there's still some down payment assistance loans out there, but the credit and underwriting guidelines have tightened up. The appraisals, I no longer have my favorite appraiser, right? Who I would call every time if I had a question. Hey, I don't know if you're going to get this order, but if you do, what do you think about this? That went away. Right? Everything goes through an AMC. I don't know who the appraiser is until it's turned in. These are all things that have helped the consumer. We need to let them know of those changes. They don't even know that this has happened, right? So a follow-up question I always say when somebody gives me one of these pushbacks, what if I could show you? Start that question with, what if I could show you, right? What if I could show you some data that would show that maybe you're thinking about this from a different angle than what you could be looking at? What if I could show you, right? We all want a deal. I want to wait for the foreclosures because I want the prices to plummet to 200,000, my brother-in-law. Well, if I could show you a better deal and you could get in right now. And now, I mean, the guy owns a $600,000 house that he put, I forget, $9,000 down on. Believe me, every family get together, we talk about that, because he was not going to buy until he saw these foreclosures. Here we are 2.5 years later, and foreclosures have barely ticked up. So those are just some examples. Bonus content. This is where I get excited, guys, because this was 4 a.m. this morning. Got to add some spicy stuff. And this might be the biggest takeaway. I think everything we went through is great to kind of weave into your conversations. This was done by Barry Habib. Okay. Talked about affordability. $400,000 house in 2021 experiences a 15% appreciation. So now the house is $460,000. Oh, by the way, rates doubled from 3.5 to 7. And that buyer, every buyer you're talking to says, I can't afford that. That payment just went up $1,284, right? $1,796 to $3,060. Household income, it was deemed the average household income to qualify for this loan was $9,000. Okay. Moved to this year, that house had appreciated, selling for more, higher interest rate, higher payment, right? We went up $1,264. Well, ADP, little known payroll company, the biggest, says that people who stayed at their jobs, we're going to see a 7.7% increase in income. This is something Chairman Powell talks about with the Feds, is that we not only have a supply and demand issue, we have a supply and demand issue in labor. It's costing employers more to retain their employees. People who switch jobs, we're going to get 15.2% increase in pay. We averaged at 9. So their pay went from $9,000 to $98.10. Change it $810. That's still a $454 a month. That I can agree with the client. That's a hard pill to swallow. But then we got to layer in there that everything went up. Gas went up, food went up, services went up. So now we're not even talking about $454 a month. We're literally talking about almost $695 a month difference in what was coming out of people's wallets. Well, if you factor in this year, and then we go back to just the low end 7.7 and add what the 7.7% would be and the 810, next year in 2023, they'd have an increase in income of $1,565 a month. Now they can afford this, right? Maybe you won't have this question or conversation on your side, on the real estate side, but I'm absolutely going to have this on the mortgage side. And I know lenders are too scared. The average lender, I probably have 30 friends in the business. If I ask them, would you ever bring this up? They'd say no. I'm going to ask them, what's going on at your job? What kind of raise did you get last year? What are you expected to get this year? Are you getting any bonuses? Right? Yes, we have to be scared and nervous about this extra cost and hope that it's going to be coming down over the course of 2023, which just creates a bigger spread here. But let's talk about the uncomfortable stuff that can help them be comfortable with buying. Here's a new one for me this year. And I think this is good for you as real estate agents when you're talking to people, is you're going to see the nationwide averages. They're projecting appreciation to slow to 3 to 5%. Sure, there'll be some markets that might get hit harder and not appreciate as much. With, I would say, every one of those markets, there'll be a market that outperforms at 7-8% until rates come down. And then I think the appreciation will jump. But 4% appreciation on a $400,000 house is $16,000. We start talking to clients about that. It doesn't sound like much. 4%, 16 grand. Plus it's paper money, right? It's not money in my pocket. But if that client put 10% down, it's a $40,000 investment. Real estate's the only time where we talk about ROI, return on investment, in terms of what we pay for the house and what we could sell it for, what the equity gain is. But when we invest in the stock market, we do our ROI off of the money that left our pocket, right? So if we put $40,000 down on this house in the first year, we only get 4% appreciation. $16,000 is a 40% return on that 40 grand. If we remain at 4% and there is no jump because of demand, 2.5 years, we have made 100% return on our initial investment. But let's just keep it to year one, 40%. My conversation with client, where else can you put 40 grand right now and get a 40% return? If you know, let me know. Right? Because this is assuming that we just keep going kind of back down to 3 to 5% year over year, which I think most people would appreciate because they can plan better. We don't need to see 20 and 30% appreciation because that's usually going to be followed by a negative, right? And price drops, value drops. Start using this. You know, somebody's buying a $300,000 house with an FHA loan. They're putting $10,500 down. Is there a high likelihood that they can make that $10,500 back in a year or less? It depends on the market, but more than likely, yeah. Okay. I wanted to back up. So this is from Kiplinger. 2/3 of our country's net worth is from equity in real estate. So if you're having conversations around people about, hey, real estate's the best way to grow wealth, here's your stat. 2/3 of the entire country's net worth is in home equity. It's a lot. It's a lot. To be in the top 50% of the wealthiest people in our country, you need to have $500,000 in net worth. 800,000, you jump up to, I believe it's top 25%. $1 million puts you in the top 10% in net worth in the country. This is just a different way of showing ROI to a client. Now, drive this home, guys. I know we just went over an hour. I apologize. I appreciate you guys hopefully staying on. I haven't seen any numbers drop yet, but this is what I want to leave you with. Tasks between now and the end of the year. What is your value proposition? Mine's straightforward. It is to help clients create generational wealth through real estate. If that's my value proposition and I lead with that in a phone call and I don't show that, does that client have any right to work with me and stay with me? No. Got to put my money where my mouth is. So that is a non-negotiable for me. I routinely am repositioning clients' money to show them a different way that if they follow my plan is going to put them and their family in a completely different position 30 years from now. I may not be here to receive that phone call, but my number one goal of doing their mortgage for them is that they remember me and that they're in the financial position they are because of one little tweak and one little piece of advice. I live and breathe that. Right? That's why I put this on here. If you talk to me, you know, even if I'm talking to you about your business and your goals and your income, I can switch that value proposition around to my real estate partners. I want you to win, but I want it to be so that you can create generational wealth for your family. We can go through real estate and mortgage. We can make good money and leave nothing. Like, what's our legacy? What are your 2023 goals? I'll tell you right now, my team and I just met on Thursday last week. 60 million, 120 families helped is our goal. Write it down. If it's not written down, less likely to happen. Share it with everyone, right? I'm sharing it here for a reason. I was talking with another agent that's in Cole's coaching group last week. He's all excited. He had a conversation with Cole. I said, so what are your goals? He's like, I haven't finished them yet. I'm like, when you do, email me. And my team is meeting on Thursday. I'll email mine over to you. Okay. The number one person that every single human being is the most willing to let down, ourselves. I did it with the gym this morning. And my wife reminded me because she's my accountability partner, right? We will always let ourselves down before we will let 100 other strangers down. The other thing it does is it allows me, like when an agent tells me their goals, I'm going to be following up with them, holding them accountable. How are you doing? Hey, it's March. Shouldn't you be here by now? What can we do to course correct and get you on track? Right? Just accountability partners, super easy. And guess what? People can't help you meet your goal if they don't know it. Right? If your family knows that you're trying to help 30 families, subconsciously, without even knowing, they're going to try to look for help for you. They want to help you, but they don't know how to help you if you don't share with them how they can. And then last nugget, and I know this doesn't necessarily play into today's topic. What are your non-negotiables in your business? And just think about that for a second as I wrap this up. Oftentimes, and until the last couple of years, I didn't have any non-negotiables. I thought that just seemed like, pie in the sky. We should all have non-negotiables in our business, especially headed into 2023. If you don't have them, start them now, right? What does that look like? For me, I do a Monday market update. I do a Wednesday rate update. That's non-negotiable. Those are going out on Monday and Wednesday every day. In Arizona, we have a little thing called an LSU, a loan status update. Most lenders are lazy and don't send them out. Mine go out every Tuesday like clockwork. It's a non-negotiable in our business. My team has non-negotiables. Guess what my biggest non-negotiable is? And then I'll turn it over to Cole. When we wrote our goals on the board, sometimes one thing I hate about goals is people walk in and they throw their dream up there. There's nothing tied to it. 3 months in, they're well off pace. And well, we won't do 60, we'll just do 40. One of my employees said, well, Jeff, I know 3 months ago you talked about 50 million. I love 60 million because if we miss it, we'll hit 50. And I came unglued. I'm like, get that out of your head right now. We're hitting 60 no matter what. If we're behind in March, we're going to work twice as hard, 3 times as hard. I didn't write it up here as a dream. It's a goal that will be accomplished. So Cole, that's everything I have to give today. Sorry for going 5 minutes over.
Wow, and more wow. Guys, was this amazing? Oh, Jeff, I love it so much. Every single time you come, you bring such value. And here's the interesting thing about this, guys, and I think it's so important. It's the reason why me and my team, we really do partner with Jeff. Who you partner with matters. Who you partner with matters. Think about how much value that Jeff is bringing. Here's the thing I know. I don't have to be the absolute expert in these, but I have a partner in Jeff that can help educate me. He can help educate our coaching clients. And that's what you're looking for. So here's what I am going to strongly urge you to do. I don't care where you're at in the country, reach out to Jeff. Say hi, introduce yourself and say, this was a great class, because he will know who he can refer you to, of someone who can educate you like he does. Yeah. That partnership is so important. You and your lender in the partnership is so important. Can you guys do me a favor? If you're still on, love it. You guys are still hanging with us. We appreciate it. Put your email, your name and your email in the chat. We're actually going to email you straight over these slides, because as a gift, you were the ones who were on. That was really fantastic. And one thing you guys do want to do, of course, is watch this again. We will have it on the Facebook group. The replay will be there, and it'll be on our YouTube channel tomorrow. By tomorrow afternoon, we will have that up. So Jeff, you said it was interesting. You said something. Tell your goals. Tell your goals.
Yep. I'm big on that. You got to put it on Facebook today. That's my challenge.
Do it. Put it on Facebook today. Hey, so we're looking to help 30 more agents. 30 more agents. Hey, Jeff, can I have the screen back, by the way?
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Guys, that's just my contact information. As Cole mentioned, and I think Robin put it in, but as Cole mentioned, we're licensed as a branch in about 15, 17 states now, nationwide company. As Cole said, I'll connect you. But even if you just want to reach out to me, agent called me today, lender out of state. I said, I'm going to be within $1,000, same interest rate. Don't have her move just for $1,000. I'm like, if it was 5,000 in closing costs, I'm always going to do the right thing. But I just love to help, have conversations. That's my passion. So reach out.
Oh, and you can tell that's your passion, my friend. Hey, our passion is really helping agents really break through to the next level. As you can see, we are passionate about that by bringing on Jeff. So I just want to share with you, if you don't know about it, we have an amazing program. It's called 12 Weeks to Breakthrough. And it is a 12-week business planning boot camp. That is it in a nutshell. By the way, several clients on today, and we've got a couple of our coaches on today as well. So good to see them. So if you want to learn more about the program, here's what you can do. Simply go to program-overview.breakthroughre.net. That is where you're going to learn more about the program. I think you are going to love it. We've been really helping people. By the way, in January and February, we want to add 30 more people into our program. If you know someone who really needs to get some great learning, some great effort, that they're at a good level, but boy, they would like to break through to a whole different level. Send them this program overview, introduce them to me. I am so happy to chat with them. By the way, so excited about this. Coming in January, we have got our training and coaching for new agents coming out. It's called Jumpstart. We're having so much fun putting that together. So that's coming out in January. So if you would like, oh yeah, Robin, can you put the link in the chat? That'd be great for the program overview. So if you or someone you know would be interested in Jumpstart, do me a favor, also put, just say Jumpstart and your name and then email address, or you can always message us. That would be really easy inside of the Facebook group. Finally, for all of you guys who are here, I've been doing this. I've been having so much fun. So Jeff, I was a keynote speaker at an event with Fairway Independent Mortgage last week. And what do we have? About 1,000 agents. And so I offered this, and I have been having so much fun with so many agents, having complimentary strategy sessions with them. This is really about getting to know your business, what your goals, what are you trying to do, and then how can you accomplish those goals for your 2023. If you are interested, I would absolutely love to sit down with you as well for complimentary business consultation. Go ahead and take a picture of this wonderful QR code. You can schedule that with me. That'll take you directly over to my calendar, and we can have all sorts of fun. Finally, if you are not a member of our Facebook group, we'd love you to take part on it. So our Facebook group is facebook.com/groups/breakthroughre. Wow, Jeff.
Cole, just a quick plug. Guys, the Facebook group, tons of value alone, right? Cole and her team are bringing in top people all the time to share with you, but it's not about just that, right? I talk about this every time we do this, Cole. I have 2 coaches myself. I believe in coaching. You want to take your business, like you want to do something better than sharing your goals with 100 people, get a coach who's going to hold you accountable to it.
Absolutely.
And you're the best of the best. So,
well, thank you so much. I have 3 coaches because,
now I gotta go find another one. I'm competitive.
Hey, there you go. Let's do that. Well, and I also have Robin. So Robin keeps me on track for all this. We are going so late, guys. We're going to let you go. But thank you so much, everybody. Oh, by the way, next week we will not have a weekly Wednesday webinar. We're going to be off for the holidays. The team is having some fun. Going to go and be away. So we will not be here next Wednesday. We will keep providing you some value next week, though. Keep on track of that. Love to chat with you. So love to see you in a business consultation. And Jeff, thank you so much. Guys, we'll see you later.
Happy holidays, everyone.